$5 million Breeders' Cup Classic. And away they go. They all appear to break well. Alpha along the inside, sent for the lead. Fort Larned in the white cap. Game on Dude going to tuck in right behind the leaders. Handsome Mike is in the vanguard too. Now here's Mucho Macho Man, one from the outside. To Honor and Serve is going to be caught about 5 wide. They're all lining up on the lead here. Nonios is racing in right behind them. Game on Dude trying to come out to off that inside rail. Behind that comes Brilliant Speed. Then back to Flat Out, who's giving them 7-length start. A big gap of 5 back to Ron the Greek. Pool Play is racing behind that, and Richard's Kid is last early. Richard's Kid 15 off the leader. They head to the 3/4 pole in the big one now, and it is Fort Larned on the inside. Up alongside Mucho Macho Man to Honor and Serve right there in the red cap in third. Alpha's tucked in at the rail. Handsome Mike had joined fourth, only 2.5 off the leaders. Here's Game on Dude in sixth, and Rafael Bejarano has him on the outside, 4 lengths off the leaders. In behind that comes Nonios. Alongside of that is Brilliant Speed. They've been followed by Flat Out, racing on his own in the red. He's a good 10 off the leaders. Ron the Greek has 13 to make up. Pool Plays ridden along, and Richard's Kid is still last. Into the turn they go now, and Fort Larned kicks away. And Fort Larned opens up on them. He's clear now by 3 lengths. Mucho Macho Man comes after him, and Game on Dude now being sent along from the third spot. The others have some running to do. Coming late is Flat Out. They come to the top of the lane. Fort Larned the leader. Mucho Macho Man, and now Game on Dude can't go on. Game on Dude not going on. Flat Out is coming after them in the center, but it is Fort Larned digging deep. He's trying to hold on. Fort Larned along the inside. Mucho Macho Man right up alongside of him. What a thriller in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Fort Larned digs deep. Mucho Macho Man, it's nose and nose to the wire. Fort Larned has won it. That move on the far turn, the deciding factor. Fort Larned and Brian Hernandez have won it. Mucho Macho Man. Then it'll be Flat Out. Richard's Kid running on late.
An unbelievable ride by Brian Hernandez Jr. aboard Fort Larned, and Richie, it started coming right out of the starting gate.
Horse broke alertly, took a step out. Game on Dude got shuffled back just a touch, always out of position. Fort Larned took it to them, though, Jeff, and ran hard every step of the way.
He doesn't need the lead to win, we know that, but if you give him the front end, he's almost impossible to get by, and he was impossible. I was sure that Mucho Macho Man was going to wear him down late, but in the quarter pole to the 8th pole, he couldn't get by him, and if he couldn't get by him then, he was never going to get by him.
Game on Dude. I mean, take us through his trip, Rich.
Nothing I'm sure that they were happy with. He got off a step slow. Fort Larned took a step out. He got squeezed a bit. Then he tried to rush up in between them. Brian Hernandez, all legal, race rode him, kept him pinned in. Rafael Bejarano trying to get out the first time past the stands, but horses stacked up outside of him. Always further back than he wants to be. Tried to make that middle move into the second turn.
If you could have asked for anything in the world for your birthday, this might be it.
Fort Larned just gave us the greatest birthday gift anything could ever happen. This is huge. He ran such a big race. He's one of the best, and he showed it today.
It's your first Breeders' Cup win. What's this mean to you?
This is huge, just for Mrs. Whittam and Ian to give us a chance on this horse and sticking with us throughout the whole year. And they've always had confidence in us, and just like we've had confidence in the horse, and I just got to thank them to the world and back for giving me this chance.
Brian, you were on him for his last 3 races, including a defeat last time out. Did you see this kind of race coming from him?
Yeah, Ian did, because after the Jockey Club, he ran a big race in there, and Ian came back. He said, don't worry about it. We're going to get our ultimate goal at the end of the year, and when him and Carl Nasker both tell you that you're going to have a good one, they know when it's time for the win.
Speaking of Ian, it's your first Breeders' Cup win, and also his first, and like you said, he's been so faithful and loyal to you. How's it feel to get this win for him?
It's great. They've been so great to us over the years, and they're sticking by us, and it's great to win for people like them, and especially for the Whittams. They've been so good for the game, and they keep just putting out good horses and giving us the chances. Thank them most of all.
$270,000 to the winning jockey. Have you thought about how you might spend this? Maybe on a little birthday present?
That sounds good. No, we didn't really think about the money. We were just, the prestige of winning this race in front of the world is unbelievable.
Well done. Nice showing today. Congratulations. Let's go to
Brian putting it best. Yeah, the 270,000 is not going to be bad, but you'd rather win the Breeders' Cup Classic. And right here is when you think, Jeff, that Mucho Macho Man, he should be able to run down Fort Larned.
We talked all about how well speed was sticking, and I think that was a factor. But these two racehorses left everybody far behind. Here is Fort Larned under severe pressure. That's a very good horse right alongside Mucho Macho Man. He's trying his hardest to get by, and he's just, and it wasn't, I don't want people to think he's hanging, because he's not. He's trying, and he's far ahead of everybody else. That's just too tough a horse to go by.
Horse that did not want to lose.
Did not, and it was seen there. You can see the smile on Brian Hernandez Jr.'s face, and look at a pumped up Ian Wilkes taking him all the way down to the wire. And Ian has been involved with some of the greats in recent history. You think back to his involvement with Carl Nafsker and Street Sense winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then 6 months later going on and winning the Kentucky Derby. This is how you define a career in a training job such as this on this stage. I mean, and it's not like this horse came out of nowhere, Jeff. I mean, he had the credentials, won the Cornhusker at Prairie Meadows, won the Whitney, third in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and he put up here today in the $5 million Classic.
You know, he started to get really good actually earlier this year, and he was doing it at Tampa Bay, if you can believe that. Then he went to Gulfstream and did very well there. He had a dull run in the Foster for whatever reason. I don't know what happened that day, but since then he has been hickory. A little disappointing though in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but that form is holding up pretty well today, would you say? And back in winning form, and again over a racetrack that was, let's face it, very kind to his style of running. Fort Larned was able to keep going and went all the way.
I'm so impressed with Ian Wilkes. I'm so impressed with Brian Hernandez. And I got such a kick out of watching Ian Wilkes root his horse home, and the lean towards the wire. Where's the wire? But his horse was going to hold Mucho Macho Man safe if they went another quarter of a mile. And just a great thing to watch a young kid fulfill a dream like this, Jeff.
And for the Whitmans, Jeff, a homebred winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. No strangers to success in the game of thoroughbred racing.
No, they've been here for sure, Bayako, at all. And by the way, that was Mike Smith who was trying to get by Brian.
Tables turned.
I guess if you can outfinish Mike Smith, you're doing a good job, aren't you?
BJ Hernandez. I mean, this is a young kid. He wins races at Churchill Downs. You've got to think, Richie, that his confidence is just going to be through the roof once he heads back to Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, and you know what? He showed this in Saratoga in the Whitney. He had so much confidence in this horse. And I think when a rider kind of gets in tune with a horse like that and knows what he's got underneath him, it's just a beautiful thing to watch.
I guess Baffert was onto something when he said at the beginning of the week that there's no home court advantage on the Breeders' Cup stage, Siegel.
It wasn't in this race, because if you look at the first four finishers, they're all from New York. And you're talking about Fort Larned, who coming out of the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and you're talking about Mucho Macho Man, who was actually based at Belmont Park and was second, obviously, in the Woodward at Saratoga in his last start. Juan the Greek, who I think finished fourth, obviously coming out of the Jockey Club Gold Cup as well. And so it was and flat out. I mean, he actually won the Jockey Club Gold Cup, hits the board here. So I guess the Jockey Club Gold Cup's going to maintain its Grade 1 status for one more year at least.
And Fort Larned making a strong case for Older Male of the Year. He certainly will receive votes when it comes down to Horse of the Year. But now we've just gone ahead and thrown in these names and shaken them up in a hat. And, you know, you could pull out Royal Delta, you could pull out Fort Larned, and you could pull out Wise Dan for End of the Year honors.
And I hope that Groupie Doll gets a vote in there somewhere, too. It's not going to win it, but, you know. But you're right. I mean,
Shanghai Bobby. I mean,
exactly. How much undefeated champion 2-year-old colt? I think the way, however, I think what Wise Dan did today, I think, is going to leave an impression on a lot of people.
Yeah.
And Fort Larned, although he certainly deserves champion older handicap horse today, he has never really dominated his division. He did certainly today, but it'll be kind of interesting to see how the votes go.
I think it's interesting what Brian said, though. Ian Wilkes said, don't worry about it. Our ultimate goal is this. And we've seen this from Carl Nafsker.
Right.
Yeah, you know, they'll point a horse to a spot, and they'll have a prep race where they get beat and then rebound with the big victory on the big day. I mean, it's brilliant. And he learned with a Hall of Famer, and Ian Wilkes knew how to pull it off.
Ian had a lot to do with Street Sense of success, too, sure.
Still awaiting prices for the 2012 Breeders' Cup Classic, led by Fort Larned. Brian Hernandez Jr., watching him come in on the Classic winner. It looks like he's just floating in. I mean, like literally, the look on his face. I mean, just floating into the winner's circle.
Yeah, well.
And it's his birthday to boot.
Really?
So, I mean, yeah, pretty good birthday present, huh, Jeff?
Yeah, that's for sure.
You can't write scripts like this, can you? I mean, again, we're in Los Angeles. We can go right down the